Now I want you to think for a moment. What would happen if you had to be the judge, the jury, and the executioner? Well, today you get to discover that when we visit the Alcatraz East Crime Museum. The Alcatraz East Crime Museum was a museum curated in Washington, D.C. in 2016 and formerly known as the Museum of Crime and Punishment. It now resides in Gatlinburg, Tennessee for the public viewing. I had the honor of visiting this museum with my mom last summer, and all photos shown on this tour are my own. Now, this museum is home to hundreds of artifacts from true crime and serial killers around the world. Several exhibits we'll be visiting today are the punishments of crime through history, outlaws of the West, and conspiracies of crime. Now, in this museum, you will see if the punishment fits the crime, which brings us to our first exhibit, punishments of crime through history. Now, punishments of crime through history have gone anywhere from the Dark Ages to even today. As you can see in this photo, there is a German hand axe and iron tongs used in the Dark Ages. A German hand axe would be used to take the hands of any thieves or accused thieves during the time, and the iron tongs would be used as a punishment. On this side is something more recent, the use of lethal injection. It wasn't made until 1978 and not used until 1982 in Texas. This was made by a New York artist as a lethal injection attack drone prototype as a way to show the government that they are trying to take away the human element of capital punishment. Now, whether the crime is solved or not, crime is all around. Now, it is up to us to take what we are given and use it, where we visit our next exhibit and see who commits these crimes that deserve a punishment. Here are the outlaws of the West. Now, a very well-known couple that is an outlaw of the West is Bonnie and Clyde. Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker were an infamous couple during the Great Depression era. They robbed convenience stores, banks, and even hotels. They were a hot host for the police and chased down in a manhunt. They were killed immediately through a car shootout, and when police were discovering evidence, they found this photo of them in a hideout in Louisiana. Now, they may not exactly be an outlaw, but they're definitely a criminal. Jeffrey Dahmer was a known serial killer and sexual predator. He was known for killing 17 boys and men throughout the years of 1978 through 1991. Here in this photo, you will see the actual handcuffs and fingerprints used when they made his final arrest. Now, what about the criminals that weren't caught and the victims that got no justice? This brings us to our last exhibit, the conspiracies of crime. Now, conspiracies are anything that people put their thoughts into with no hard evidence. A well-known cold case and conspiracy is the case of JonBenét Ramsey. JonBenét Ramsey was a 6-year-old pageant star, but on December 26, 1996, when the family returned home, they found the child missing. Now, police searched but could not locate the child and later discovered her dead in the basement. Even to this day, it is still unknown how she was killed, but a year later in 1997, an autopsy report did show that she died of asphyxiation due to strangulation. It is mainly protested that the mother and father had something to do with it, or even the brother. Another case is the case of the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth Short was a 22-year-old found on a park bench by a mother and father in LA. She was mistaken for a mannequin due to the fact that her body was cut in half and all the blood drained from it. No fingerprints were found on the body, and the case went cold years later. But in 2014, the retired detective did come forth and say he believed it was the father's doing. Crime or not, it is all terrible, and it is up to us to try and take the facts we are given and use them in the best way possible. That brings us to the end of our tour. I hope you enjoyed visiting Alcatraz East Crime Museum, and in this museum, we went through many exhibits. We discovered punishments of crime through history, looking at the gruesome and grueling evidence of what crimes committed what punishments. We saw Outlaws of the West, where we uncovered criminals, crimes, and artifacts associated with them. We also went through conspiracies of crime, where we uncovered cold cases about crimes that were never solved through history. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour, and I want you to think of something else. If you were the detective on the case, what would you have done?